Once a land of tranquility and peace, the kingdom of Hyperia now stands on the brink of darkness, as the forces of evil descend upon its citizens. A shadow has fallen over the once peaceful kingdom, as 9 knights and their malevolent lord lay siege to the lands. In the heart of this encroaching darkness, there stands a malicious figure, the Crimson Knight. This towering Goliath of cruelty and tyranny is clad in armor that is soaked in the blood of his enemies. This monster of a man exudes an aura of malevolence that chills the very air around him. The blood-red hue of his armor serves as a grim reminder of the countless lives he has extinguished in his insatiable quest for power. The Crimson Knight gazes upon the kingdom of Hyperia with a cold and calculating stare. His lips curled into a twisted smile as he approaches Castle Hyperia. He imagines the suffering that he plans to inflict on the citizens of Hyperia as he overthrows the king. Driven by a lust for domination, the Crimson Knight seeks to imprison the kingdom within the iron grip of his tyranny, crushing all who oppose him beneath the weight of his unrelenting cruelty. With every step he takes, the ground trembles beneath him, a testament to the sheer power and malevolence that emanates from his towering form. He plans to rule with an iron fist, showing no mercy to those who dare to stand in his way. He makes his motives clear, first Hyperia, then Iodia, then the world. He even spits in the faces of the elder gods. His voice, dripping with venomous malice, echoes like thunder as he speaks, striking fear into the hearts of all who dare to defy him. As the embodiment of evil itself, the Crimson Knight commands legions of monstrous creatures and fearsome warriors, each eager to carry out his every command without question. The tranquil serenity of the kingdom has been shattered by the arrival of this tyrannical overlord, plunging the kingdom into a maelstrom of chaos and despair. He commands his 9 noble knight generals to take over the surrounding villages. While clad in similar armor, each knight exhibits their own malicious tendencies as they travel to the villages to enact the decree of the Crimson Knight. The only commonality between them all is their hearts know only malice and destruction. Aided by a monstrous familiar, they aim to lay siege to Hyperia's lands. Iris is the quick-tempered and impulsive knight of the group. As Iris strides onto the battlefield, flames dance in her wake, matching the fiery intensity of her temper. Her armor is brittle, but formidable. It shines with a brilliance that matches her inner heat, a testament to her fierce determination. With every swing of her mighty sword, embers fly, igniting the air with the heat of her rage. Her familiar, a floating inferno of fiery fury, roars with each breath, casting a menacing glow across the battlefield. Ruth is more level-headed and cunning than others in the brigade. She is able to manipulate most people into doing her bidding, making her a grave threat to the people of Hyperia. She moves with a calculated grace, her every step crackling with electricity. Her armor, adorned with jagged patterns reminiscent of lightning bolts, a stark contrast to her deceptively delicate frame. With a mere flick of her fingers, she commands arcs of electricity to dance across her blade, striking fear into the hearts of her enemies. Her familiar, a living storm of surging energy, hovers at her side, ready to unleash its devastating power at her command. Pallas is a force of nature, as his presence on the battlefield sends shivers down the spines of his foes. He is the most aggressive and relentless noble knight in the brigade. Clad in armor as cold and unforgiving as a frozen tundra, he moves with a predatory grace, his every movement calculated to hit hard and strike fear into the hearts of his enemies. With each swing of his weapon, frost spreads, freezing all who dare to oppose him in their tracks. His familiar, a towering behemoth of snow, looms menacingly at his side, its icy gaze sending chills down the spines of all who behold it. Rhodes is a brilliant scholar and a genius engineer. His armor itself is a marvel of engineering as it is adorned with intricate mechanisms and glowing runes. With each step, the whirring of gears and the hum of arcane energy fill the air. Unlike his cohorts, Rhodes relies on technology to serve as his weapon. His runes allow him to see into the future and see the technical marvels yet to come. His main weapon is a machine capable of unleashing devastating energy blasts with pinpoint accuracy. Rhodes has no need for a familiar, and instead relies on the power of his inventions to crush his enemies. Mercury is a figure of shadow and intrigue, both enigmatic and sinister. His presence on the battlefield strikes fear into the hearts of even the bravest warriors. Clad in armor that shares a similar color to the Crimson Knight, he moves with a sinuous grace. His every step leaves behind a trail of venomous ichor. With a touch as cold as death itself, he poisons his enemies with but a single caress. His familiar, a legion of nightmarish creatures born of shadow and despair, skitter at his side, their eyes gleaming with hunger and malice. Azie is a whirlwind of motion and sound. His boisterous laughter echoes across the battlefield like thunder. This outgoing knight is clad in armor as bright and dazzling as the blue ocean. He moves with the agility of a dancer, his every movement accompanied by a flurry of flashing steel. With a tongue as sharp as his blade, he taunts his enemies mercilessly, his words cutting deeper than any sword. Though lacking a familiar, Azie instead relies on the power of his wit and his blade to carry him to victory. Jin serves as third in command and is a figure of authority and power, his presence on the battlefield striking fear into the hearts of all who behold him. Clad in armor as gleaming and unyielding as the moon itself, he moves with the unstoppable force of a landslide, his every step shaking the earth beneath him. With a voice like thunder, he commands his troops with iron discipline, his mere gaze is enough to send even the bravest warriors quaking in terror. His familiar, a mysterious force known only as the Terror, hangs like a dark cloud over the battlefield, its presence suffocating all who dare to defy him. Orin is a figure of mystery and intrigue, his true motives known only to himself and the Crimson Knight himself, despite being second in command of the noble Knight Brigade. Clad in armor as resplendent and imposing as the rising sun, he moves with the silent grace of a predator stalking its prey, his every movement shrouded in shadow. With a wave of his hand, he summons forth nightmarish creatures from the depths of the abyss, their twisted forms twisting and writhing in the darkness. Though his motives may be unclear, one thing is certain, Orin is a force to be reckoned with, his power and influence stretching far beyond the battlefield. Cyrus is the leader of the noble knights. He is a figure of precision and skill, his every movement calculated to perfection. Clad in armor as sleek and deadly as a serpent, he moves with the fluid grace of a dancer, his every step a testament to his mastery of the blade. He is able to send his enemies reeling with a simple swipe of his sword. His familiar, a sinister arachnid creature, skitters at his side, its 8 eyes gleaming with intelligence and malice. Though his enemies may tremble at his approach, Cyrus remains unfazed, his eyes fixed firmly on the prize that awaits him at the end of his journey. In the face of such overwhelming darkness, hope seems but a distant memory. The Crimson Knight's reign of terror knows no bounds, and none who oppose him can hope to escape his wrath. Only time will tell if the light of courage and defiance can pierce through the shadows and reclaim the kingdom from the clutches of this merciless tyrant.